In the beginning, when the world was young, stories shaped the way people saw the world around them. The ancient Greeks, living in a land of towering mountains, endless seas, and mysterious forests, were no different. Their tales of gods and monsters, heroes and villains, became the heart of their culture, passed down from generation to generation. These stories weren't just told to entertain, they carried the weight of belief, the whispers of the divine, and the secrets of the human soul. At the center of Greek mythology lies a world teeming with legendary creatures, beings that roamed the earth, sky, and sea, entwined with the lives of both mortals and gods. These creatures were not mere figments of imagination, they were symbols, embodying the fears, hopes, and mysteries that the Greeks faced in their everyday lives. Think of the Gorgons, particularly Medusa, with her serpent hair and gaze that turned anyone to stone. Her story stirs something deep within us. Medusa wasn't born a monster, she was once a beautiful maiden, punished by the gods. The tragedy of her transformation from beauty to terror echoes the harshness of life, how quickly fate can turn. Medusa's curse reminds us of the cruel, unpredictable nature of the world, where even the innocent can suffer. Her defeat by Perseus, however, represents triumph over fear, a reminder that even the darkest horrors can be overcome with courage and wit. The Greeks filled their world with such creatures, beasts like the Minotaur, half-man, half-bull, born from betrayal and locked away in a labyrinth, a symbol of confusion and entrapment. This creature was a living reflection of the darkness that exists within every human soul, the part of us that we hide away, locked in our own personal mazes. The hero Theseus, who faces the Minotaur, stands for all those who dare to confront their inner demons, to enter the labyrinth of life and find their way out, even when the walls seem to close in from every side. And then there's the Hydra, the many-headed serpent that Heracles faced during his trials. Each time Heracles cut off one head, two more would grow in its place. The Hydra is a symbol of life's endless struggles, those problems that seem to multiply the harder we fight against them. But Heracles' victory, with fire and persistence, teaches us that no matter how overwhelming the challenge, there's always a way to push through, even when it feels like the whole world is against us. Greek mythology is filled with these stories, where creatures are more than just obstacles for heroes to overcome. They are mirrors of the human experience, reflecting back our fears, hopes, and the complexities of life. The sirens, for example, with their haunting, beautiful songs, lured sailors to their doom. But their danger wasn't just in their voices, it was in the desire they awakened in the hearts of those who heard them. The sirens are the embodiment of temptation, that irresistible pull toward something we know is dangerous, yet we can't help but long for it anyway. Odysseus, who famously faced the sirens, represents the struggle to stay on course, to resist the things that might lead us astray, even when they call to us with a sweetness we can barely resist. And then there are creatures like Cerberus, the three-headed dog who guards the gates of the underworld. Cerberus is not a villain, but a protector, ensuring that no one escapes death's domain. He reminds us that some things are final, that the natural order of life and death cannot be easily overturned. Yet, even Cerberus can be tamed, as Heracles did, showing that even the most fearsome of creatures can be faced with courage. Throughout these stories, the creatures of Greek mythology are often tied to the gods and heroes who shaped the world. Zeus, with his lightning bolt, might sit on Mount Olympus, but his power is felt in the creatures that roam the earth. Many of these beings were born of the gods, creations of their will or embodiments of their wrath. The Chimera, a fire-breathing beast with the body of a lion, a goat's head, and a serpent's tail, was born of such divine chaos, a creature so terrifying that only a hero as brave as Bellerophon could defeat it. But even in its defeat, the Chimera remains a symbol of the unpredictable, uncontrollable forces that shape the world. The gods themselves often used these creatures as tools or tests for mortals. In the tale of the Sphinx, a creature with the body of a lion, wings of an eagle, and the face of a woman, the goddess Hera sent her to Thebes as a punishment. The Sphinx would ask riddles, and those who failed to answer were devoured. Oedipus, who finally answered the Sphinx's riddle, wasn't just solving a puzzle, he was unraveling the mystery of life itself, outsmarting fate, at least for a moment. But as we know, Even Oedipus couldn't escape the shadow of his destiny, a reminder that while humans may conquer monsters, the forces of fate are not so easily outwitted. In many ways, the creatures of Greek mythology live alongside the gods and heroes, not as lesser beings, but as forces of nature, chaos, and order. The Cyclopes, one-eyed giants, were the blacksmiths of the gods, crafting Zeus's thunderbolts and Poseidon's trident. They represent the raw, untamed power of creation, where beauty and destruction are often intertwined. When Odysseus blinds Polyphemus, the Cyclops, it's not just an act of survival, it's a statement about human ingenuity and the ability to overcome brute force with cleverness. Yet, Polyphemus's cry to his father, Poseidon, for revenge also shows how the consequences of such acts ripple through the world. What makes these stories so powerful is that they touch something timeless within us. The creatures of Greek mythology aren't just relics of an ancient past, they represent universal truths. They speak to the fears we all hold, the challenges we face, and the triumphs we hope to achieve. Whether it's the terror of the unknown, the struggle against overwhelming odds, or the temptation to stray from our path, these creatures embody the forces that shape our lives. As you read about them, you feel the weight of their presence, as though they're more than just figures from stories long ago. They become real, their power is palpable today as it was in ancient Greece. The legendary creatures of Greek mythology are eternal, living on in our minds and hearts, reminding us that the world is full of wonder, mystery, and the potential for greatness, even in the face of the most fearsome of monsters. There was a time when Medusa wasn't a monster. Long before her name struck fear into the hearts of men, Medusa was beautiful. She had golden hair that flowed like sunlight and eyes that sparkled with life. She lived peacefully with her sisters, Steno and Euryale, in the farthest reaches of the earth, untouched by the troubles of gods and men. But even in that peaceful world, Medusa's beauty would become her curse, and her name would be forever stained with tragedy. The story of Medusa begins in a place where even the gods dared not linger, the temple of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. Medusa was devoted to Athena, her heart pure, her intentions honorable. But her beauty caught the eye of Poseidon, the god of the sea. He wanted her, not for love, but for power, and he would not be denied. One fateful day, in the sacred temple of Athena, Poseidon took Medusa by force. Medusa, innocent and powerless, became the victim of a cruel act she could neither prevent nor escape. But the gods are rarely kind, and they are quick to punish. Athena, enraged by the desecration of her temple, did not turn her wrath on Poseidon, but on Medusa, the helpless victim. It was Medusa who suffered the consequences of a god's cruelty. Her golden hair, once the envy of all who saw it, turned into a nest of venomous snakes. Her soft, kind eyes became weapons of terror, anyone who looked into them would turn to stone. In an instant, Medusa was transformed into the very thing people feared, a monster cursed to live in solitude, away from the world that had once adored her. Her sisters, Steno and Euryale, were also transformed, though their stories are often forgotten. Steno, the eldest, became the fiercest of the three, her anger burning like a wildfire. Euryale, the middle sister, known for her unbreakable bonds with her family, now wept endless tears for the fate of her beloved sister, Medusa. Unlike Medusa, who had once been mortal, Steno and Euryale were immortal. They shared in her pain but could not share in her mortality. The three sisters became the Gorgons, cursed beings who wandered the earth, feared and hated by all who came across them. Medusa, the once beautiful maiden, was now the embodiment of terror. Her name became a whispered warning in the dark. But even in her monstrous form, Medusa was not completely lost. Deep within her, the memory of her former life remained, a painful reminder of all she had been robbed of. She lived in isolation, knowing that she could never look upon another living being again without bringing death. Her heart was heavy with sorrow, and the world around her grew darker with every passing year. And yet, Medusa was not destined to be forgotten. She became part of one of the most famous myths in Greek history, the tale of Perseus. Perseus, a hero born of Zeus and a mortal woman, was sent on an impossible mission, to bring back the head of Medusa. Armed with gifts from the gods, a mirrored shield from Athena, winged sandals from Hermes, and a sword from Hephaestus, Perseus set out to find the Gorgon who could turn men to stone with a single glance. When Perseus finally reached Medusa's lair, he didn't see her as the world did. He saw only the reflection of her face in his shield, and through that cold, distant image, he struck. Medusa, who had already suffered more than anyone could imagine, was beheaded by a hero she had never wronged. From her blood sprang two children, Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, a giant. Even in death, Medusa's legacy continued, her children born of tragedy and violence. But Medusa's story didn't end with her death. Her severed head became a powerful weapon, used by Perseus to turn his enemies to stone. Eventually, the head was given to Athena, who placed it on her shield, the Aegis, as a symbol of protection and terror. Medusa, once a victim, now guarded Athena in death, her image striking fear into all who dared challenge the goddess. It's a cruel irony that the woman who had once worshipped Athena now served her as a tool of war. Through the centuries, Medusa's face became one of the most recognizable images in art and culture. Sculptors and painters captured her in stone and on canvas, not as the monster she had been turned into, but as a symbol of power, tragedy, and transformation. Her face, twisted in agony, her hair writhing with snakes, became a reminder of the consequences of divine punishment and the fragility of human life. Artists didn't shy away from her ugliness, but instead embraced it, finding beauty in her pain. Some saw Medusa as a warning, a figure meant to terrify and humble those who dared defy the gods. Others saw her as a tragic heroine, a woman punished for something that was never her fault. In many ways, Medusa became a symbol of injustice, of how the innocent can be transformed into something monstrous through no fault of their own. She represents all those who have been wronged, who have been cast aside and made to suffer for the sins of others. Her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, remained by her side, their stories often forgotten, their pain overshadowed by Medusa's more famous tale. Yet, they too were victims of the gods, transformed and condemned to a life of isolation. Unlike Medusa, they could never die, forever wandering the world, forever mourning the sister they had lost. They, too, are part of the story, a story not just of monsters, but of loss, grief, and the enduring power of family. Even today, Medusa's image haunts us. She has been reinterpreted in countless ways, from ancient art to modern feminism. Some see her as a symbol of female rage, a woman whose anger has been twisted into something monstrous, yet powerful. Others see her as a reminder of the dangers of beauty, how the world can turn on those who possess it. But perhaps most of all, Medusa represents the pain of being misunderstood, of being seen not for who you are, but for what the world makes you out to be. Medusa's story, and that of her sisters, is not just one of fear. It is one of heartache, of betrayal, and of the struggle to reclaim some sense of dignity in a world that has cast you aside. The Gorgons were never truly monsters, they were victims of a world ruled by gods who were all too willing to punish those who dared to shine too brightly. And yet, despite everything, their legacy endures, a testament to the strength of those who have been wronged, and to the power of stories that refuse to be forgotten. In the heart of Crete, there was once a creature that embodied both terror and tragedy. The Minotaur, half man, half beast, was trapped in a world not of its own making, a prisoner in a labyrinth of stone and sorrow. Born from a cursed union, it was a creature that should never have existed, a living symbol of the gods' wrath and human error. But behind the horror of the Minotaur, there was a story of betrayal, a story of a mother's shame and a father's cruelty. King Minos of Crete was powerful, feared by his enemies and respected by his people. Yet, his rise to power was stained with deceit. When Minos ascended the throne, he prayed to Poseidon, the god of the sea, for a sign to confirm his rule. Poseidon, in all his grandeur, sent forth a majestic white bull from the depths of the ocean. It was a creature of beauty and strength, intended to be sacrificed in the god's honor. But when Minos gazed upon the bull, he could not bring himself to kill it. Instead, he kept it for himself, thinking he could outwit the god. Poseidon's anger was swift and merciless. As punishment for Minos' betrayal, the god cast a dark spell upon Minos' wife, Queen Pasiphae. She became consumed by a grotesque desire for the very bull her husband had spared. From that unnatural union, the Minotaur was born, a creature of rage, with the body of a man and the head of a bull. It was a living curse, its very existence a reminder of the betrayal that had sparked its creation. The child, if one could call it that, was never accepted. From the moment of its birth, the Minotaur was seen as an abomination, something too monstrous to live among men, yet too human to be simply destroyed. Minos, unable to kill the creature born from his own sins, sought another way to hide the shame. He ordered the construction of a labyrinth, a twisted maze so complex that even the most cunning minds could not find their way out. Designed by the genius Daedalus, it became the perfect prison for the beast. The Minotaur was cast into the labyrinth's dark depths, condemned to live out its days in isolation, far from the eyes of the world. But the Minotaur's hunger could not be hidden away. It craved more than just sustenance, it hungered for life itself. Minos, in his cruelty, demanded a tribute from Athens to keep the beast fed. Every 9 years, 7 young men and 7 young women were sent to Crete as a sacrifice. They were led into the labyrinth, where they would meet a slow, terrifying death, lost in the endless corridors until the Minotaur found them. For the Athenians, it was a nightmare that returned every generation, a haunting reminder of their submission to a tyrant and the monstrous appetite that ruled Crete. But in the darkest moments of myth, heroes are born. Theseus, the prince of Athens, could not stand idly by while his people were sent to die. Brave and determined, he volunteered to be part of the next tribute, vowing to end the terror of the Minotaur once and for all. Armed with nothing but his courage and the wisdom of a simple plan, he set sail for Crete, where his destiny awaited him in the shadows of the labyrinth. Upon arriving in Crete, Theseus found an unexpected ally in Ariadne, the daughter of King Minos. She had fallen in love with the young hero, her heart moved by his bravery and spirit. Knowing that the labyrinth was a death trap, she gave Theseus a thread, a simple but powerful gift that would allow him to find his way out. With this thread in hand, Theseus entered the labyrinth, knowing that the creature waiting for him inside was more than just a beast. It was the embodiment of years of suffering and death, and he was walking toward a fight that would define his place in history. As Theseus wandered through the labyrinth, each step echoed with the weight of lives lost before him. The walls seemed to close in, and the air was thick with the stench of decay. Somewhere in the darkness, the Minotaur waited, its breath heavy, its heart pounding with the fury of a creature who had known only hunger and hatred. The confrontation between Theseus and the Minotaur was not just a battle between man and beast, it was a collision of two fates intertwined by tragedy. When Theseus finally came face to face with the Minotaur, it wasn't just a monster he saw, it was the embodiment of all the pain and punishment that had led to this moment. The Minotaur, though fearsome and deadly, was also a victim, a creature born of circumstances beyond its control. But there was no time for pity in the labyrinth. Theseus fought with all his strength, his heart racing as he dodged the Minotaur's brutal attacks. In the end, it was Theseus' determination and quick thinking that gave him the upper hand. With a swift strike, he plunged his sword into the Minotaur's heart, ending the beast's tortured existence. As the Minotaur fell, so too did the burden of years of suffering. Theseus retraced his steps, the thread guiding him back through the labyrinth's twisted halls. When he emerged from the darkness, he wasn't just a hero, he was a symbol of hope. The terror of the Minotaur had ended, and with it, the people of Athens were freed from their oppressive tribute. But the Minotaur's story doesn't end with its death. It remains a powerful symbol, a reflection of the chaos and punishment that often accompany the gods' interference in human lives. The labyrinth itself became a metaphor for life's complexity, a place where people can become lost, trapped in their own struggles. And the Minotaur, with its tragic origins and monstrous fate, stands as a reminder that even in the most horrifying creatures, there is often a deeper story of pain, betrayal, and loss. The Minotaur was not born evil. It was shaped by the circumstances that surrounded it, much like the people who feared it. It became a living embodiment of chaos, an agent of destruction created by the sins of those who thought they could control the gods. And while its death at the hands of Theseus brought an end to its reign of terror, the story of the Minotaur continues to echo through the ages, reminding us that the line between man and monster is often thinner than we care to admit. In the marshes of Lerna, shrouded in mist and mystery, there lurked a creature so terrifying that even its name sent shivers through the hearts of those who dared to speak it aloud. The Hydra, a serpent with many heads, each more venomous than the last, was a living nightmare that could not be defeated by ordinary means. Its very presence turned the land into a cursed wasteland, where life wilted and the air hung heavy with death. The Hydra was more than just a beast, it was a force of nature, a symbol of unrelenting evil that grew stronger with every attempt to destroy it. Heracles, the greatest hero of ancient Greece, stood before this monster as part of his 12 labors, a series of near-impossible tasks assigned to him as punishment. He knew that facing the Hydra was not just a test of his strength, but of his will. The creature's lair was hidden deep in the murky waters of the swamp, a place where few dared to go. The ground squelched beneath his feet as Heracles approached, and the air grew thick with the stench of decay. The Hydra's hiss echoed through the fog, its many heads writhing in anticipation of the battle to come. Each head of the Hydra was a deadly weapon in itself, its fangs dripping with venom so potent that even a single drop could kill. But the true horror of the Hydra lay in its regenerative power. For every head Heracles severed, 2 more would grow in its place, mocking his efforts to slay it. This was not a fight where brute strength would prevail. The Hydra's regenerative ability was its curse and its strength, a symbol of evil that could not be easily extinguished. Heracles knew that this fight would test him like no other. As he charged forward, sword in hand, the Hydra lunged at him with all its head snapping and striking, its eyes gleaming with a deadly hunger. Heracles swung his sword with all his might, cutting through one of the heads, but almost instantly, 2 more sprouted in its place, hissing and spitting venom. The Hydra's laughter seemed to fill the air, as if it knew that it was indestructible. For most, this would have been a moment of despair, but Heracles was no ordinary man. He was not just fighting a beast, he was fighting against an embodiment of never-ending evil, a darkness that would keep coming back no matter how many times it was struck down. Heracles understood that this was a battle of wits as much as it was a battle of strength. If the Hydra could regenerate, he had to find a way to stop it once and for all. Calling upon his nephew Iolaus for help, Heracles devised a plan. As Heracles hacked off the Hydra's heads, Iolaus used a burning torch to sear the wounds, preventing the heads from growing back. With each strike, the Hydra's strength diminished, its terrifying power fading as the fire cauterized its wounds. One by one, the heads fell, and finally, the Hydra was reduced to nothing but a lifeless mass of flesh, its reign of terror over. But the Hydra was not just a monster to be slain. It was a symbol, a reflection of the unstoppable nature of evil in the world. Its ability to regenerate represented the idea that darkness and corruption, once rooted, can grow back stronger if not properly dealt with. Heracles' victory over the Hydra was not just a physical triumph, it was a victory over the very concept of evil that refuses to die. Throughout history, the Hydra has been depicted in countless works of art and literature, its many heads a constant reminder of the battle between good and evil. In ancient sculptures and vases, the Hydra is often shown coiled and menacing, its heads rearing up to strike, while Heracles stands firm with his sword and torch. These depictions capture the fear and awe the creature inspired, a living nightmare that could not be easily vanquished. Writers and poets have also drawn upon the Hydra's symbolism, using it to represent the inescapable nature of certain challenges in life. Just as Heracles faced a battle that seemed unwinnable, so too do humans face struggles that feel overwhelming, problems that only seem to multiply with each attempt to solve them. The Hydra's legacy lives on in these stories, a metaphor for the enduring nature of hardship and the resilience required to overcome it. But the Hydra's story is not just one of terror and destruction. It also speaks to the power of perseverance and ingenuity. Heracles did not defeat the Hydra through sheer force alone, he used his mind and the help of others to overcome a seemingly impossible challenge. The burning torch that stopped the Hydra's regeneration is a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of battles, there is a way to find victory if one is clever and determined enough. The Hydra's many heads also represent the multifaceted nature of fear. It is not just one thing that we are afraid of, but many. Each head of the Hydra could be seen as a different fear, a different challenge that we face in life. And like Heracles, we must learn to face each one, knowing that new fears may grow in their place, but with persistence and courage, we can overcome them all. The Lenaean Hydra may have been slain, but its story continues to inspire. In every retelling, its monstrous form reminds us of the trials we face, both as individuals and as a society. It teaches us that evil, though formidable and seemingly immortal, can be defeated. The battle may be long and hard, but with courage and intelligence, even the most terrifying of foes can be brought down. High up on the cliffs overlooking the city of Thebes, a creature watched with eyes as cold as stone. The Sphinx, a terrifying being with the body of a lion, the wings of an eagle, and the face of a woman, stood as both guardian and tormentor. She was no mere beast, she was a creature of great intelligence and cruelty, driven by a thirst for the suffering of those who could not answer her riddle. Her presence brought fear to the city, a shadow that loomed over Thebes, choking the life from it one question at a time. Oedipus, a man destined for greatness but marked by tragedy, approached the city, unaware of the fate awaiting him. He had heard whispers of the Sphinx, of the countless travelers who had met their doom at her feet. They had been faced with a riddle, one that none could solve. The cost of failure was death, swift and merciless. The bodies of the fallen lay as grim reminders, warnings to all who dared to challenge her wisdom. Yet Oedipus, with a heavy heart and troubled soul, stepped forward, knowing that this moment would decide not just his future, but the fate of Thebes itself. The Sphinx, perched atop her rocky throne, looked down upon him. Her voice, both seductive and cruel, echoed through the air as she posed her infamous riddle: what walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? The riddle seemed simple, yet it had confounded the minds of many. Each one who failed to answer it correctly had perished, their dreams shattered in the face of her unyielding power. Oedipus stood in silence, the weight of the question pressing on him. But then, in a moment of clarity, the answer came to him. Man, he said, his voice steady. In the morning of life, he crawls on all 4s as a baby. In the middle of life, he walks on 2 legs as an adult. And in the evening of life, he uses a cane, walking on 3 legs. The words hung in the air, a calm defiance against the menace of the Sphinx. For the first time, the Sphinx faltered. Her eyes, once filled with malicious glee, grew wide with disbelief. No one had ever answered her riddle correctly. In her defeat, she let out a cry that shook the very earth beneath her. Unable to bear the shame of her failure, the Sphinx threw herself from the cliff, crashing into the rocks below, her reign of terror finally at an end. The city of Thebes was freed, and Oedipus was hailed as a hero. But though the Sphinx was gone, the riddle lingered in the hearts and minds of those who had witnessed its power. The Sphinx's riddle was more than just a question, it was a reflection of life itself. The stages of human existence, the fragility of time, and the inevitability of aging were all wrapped within those few words. The people of ancient Greece understood this, seeing in the Sphinx a symbol of the challenges life throws at us, challenges that must be met with both wisdom and courage. Across cultures, the Sphinx has taken on many forms, but her essence remains the same. In Egypt, the Great Sphinx of Giza guards the pyramids, silent and immovable, its gaze fixed on the horizon. Though it does not speak, its presence commands respect, a reminder of the mysteries of the universe and the power of the unknown. In both Greek and Egyptian traditions, the Sphinx stands at the boundary between the mortal world and something far greater, something that defies comprehension. The riddle, too, has variations across different myths and stories. In some versions, the Sphinx's question is about the nature of the gods, or the mysteries of the afterlife. But in every telling, the riddle serves the same purpose. It forces the listener to confront the limits of their own understanding, to reach beyond what they know and face the unknown with an open mind. The Sphinx is not just a monster to be defeated, she is a gatekeeper, a being whose purpose is to test the worthiness of those who stand before her. Her riddles are not meant to be solved easily, they are meant to push the mind to its limits, to force those who seek to pass her to prove their wisdom and insight. Oedipus was able to answer her riddle not because he was the strongest or the bravest, but because he understood the nature of life itself. In a way, the Sphinx's story is a lesson about the power of knowledge. The people of Thebes had lived in fear of her for so long because they lacked the understanding to defeat her. It was only when Oedipus came along, with his sharp mind and clear thinking, that the city was freed from her grasp. Knowledge, in the end, is the greatest weapon we have against the challenges we face, whether they come in the form of a riddle or a fearsome creature. But the story of the Sphinx does not end with her defeat. Her legacy lives on in the stories we tell, in the riddles that continue to challenge us, and in the symbols that remind us of the power of wisdom. She is a reminder that no matter how terrifying the obstacle before us may seem, there is always a way through, if we have the courage to seek it and the wisdom to find it. The Sphinx may be gone, her reign of terror ended, but her riddle still echoes through the ages, a question that asks more than it seems. It asks us to look at ourselves, at our lives, and at the world around us, and to seek the answers that lie hidden within. In the deepest shadows of the underworld, where souls drift in eternal silence, there stands a guardian unlike any other, a creature born of nightmare and myth. Cerberus, the fearsome three-headed hound, waits at the gates of Hades, his growls echoing through the darkness. Each of his heads watches, alert to any who might try to escape the land of the dead, and none who pass through those gates leave without his permission. His appearance alone was enough to strike terror into the hearts of all who dared approach. Each head was a monstrous representation of fury, hunger, and loyalty. The first head, with eyes glowing like embers, was constantly snarling, as if daring anyone to step closer. The second, always baring its razor-sharp teeth, showed no mercy, while the third was ever watchful, seeing all that happened within the underworld. His body was massive, his fur as dark as the void, and snakes slithered from his back, hissing warnings to those foolish enough to draw near. Cerberus was more than just a beast, he was a protector of the sacred boundary between life and death. His duty was to ensure that the dead remained within the underworld and that no living being passed through the gates unchallenged. There was a certain sadness in this duty. He was a creature of immense power, but also bound to a lonely existence, eternally guarding the same gates, never leaving the realm of shadows. Yet, there came a time when even Cerberus would face a challenge unlike any other. It was during the 12 labors of Heracles, the mighty son of Zeus, that Cerberus' role as a guardian was put to the test. Heracles, already famed for his strength and bravery, was given a task so dangerous that even the gods watched in awe. His final labor was to descend into the underworld and bring back Cerberus, alive and unharmed. For any mortal, this task would have been impossible. To face the wrath of Hades, the ruler of the underworld, and to confront Cerberus, the three-headed hound, would mean certain death. But Heracles was no ordinary man. His strength was legendary, and his determination unbreakable. As he journeyed to the land of the dead, the shadows thickened around him, and the air grew cold. He knew that to complete this task, he would have to face the guardian of the underworld without weapons, relying solely on his wits and strength. When Heracles finally stood before Cerberus, the tension was palpable. The hound, sensing the intrusion of a living soul, let out a thunderous growl that shook the very ground beneath them. His three heads lunged forward, each one eager to tear the intruder apart. But Heracles, with unmatched courage, reached out and grabbed hold of the beast. His hands clenched around Cerberus' thick necks, his muscles straining as he wrestled with the monstrous creature. The struggle was fierce, and for a moment, it seemed as though Cerberus might overpower even the mighty Heracles. But Heracles held on, refusing to give in. His grip tightened, and slowly, Cerberus began to yield. There was no hatred in the creature's eyes, only a wild, untamed fury that gradually subsided as Heracles subdued him. It was not a battle of cruelty or dominance, but one of strength and understanding. Heracles did not seek to harm Cerberus, only to fulfill his impossible task. With the beast finally under control, Heracles led Cerberus from the underworld, his victory a testament to both his strength and his respect for the creatures of myth. Cerberus, though defeated, remained proud, and as he was returned to his post at the gates of Hades, his loyalty to his role as guardian was never questioned. He continued his watch, ever faithful, ever vigilant. Throughout the ages, Cerberus has been a symbol of both ferocity and loyalty. In many ways, he represents the line between life and death, the boundary that none can cross without consequence. His three heads are often interpreted as the past, present, and future, three aspects of time that watch over every soul. The fact that he guards the underworld not with malice but with a sense of duty speaks to his role as a protector rather than a mindless beast. In ancient art and literature, Cerberus is depicted in various forms, each one capturing the awe and fear he inspires. Greek pottery often shows him beside Heracles, locked in their legendary struggle. His form, with its multiple heads and serpentine features, is a reminder of the chaos that exists in the underworld, a place where the natural laws of the living world no longer apply. Even in modern interpretations, Cerberus remains a powerful symbol of the unknown, the mysterious forces that guard the afterlife and keep its secrets hidden. In some stories, Cerberus is seen as more than just a guardian, he is a reminder of the inevitability of death. The fact that no soul can escape him emphasizes the finality of death and the unbreakable nature of the underworld's grip. Yet, at the same time, he is also a creature to be pitied. Trapped in his eternal role, Cerberus can never leave the underworld, bound to his duty for all time. In more recent interpretations, Cerberus has been reimagined in various ways, but his essence remains unchanged. Whether as a terrifying beast in films and books or as a figure of folklore and legend, Cerberus continues to captivate the imagination. His story, and his connection to Heracles, remind us of the delicate balance between life and death, and the importance of courage in the face of the unknown. Cerberus, the guardian of the underworld, may be a fearsome creature, but he is also a symbol of loyalty, strength, and the eternal mysteries that lie beyond the world we know. His story, like so many others in Greek mythology, resonates with us because it touches on the universal fears and challenges we all face, whether in life or in the shadows that come after. In the stillness of the ocean, where the waves gently kiss the horizon, there lurks a danger more seductive than any storm. It is not the violent crashing of the seas that sailors fear most, but the sweet, melodic voices that drift through the air, promising them everything their hearts desire. These are the sirens, creatures so enchanting, so deadly, that few could resist their call. Their voices were like honey, soft and inviting, filled with promises that seemed too good to be true. And yet, behind that beauty lay a terrible truth. For the sirens did not sing to bring joy or peace. They sang to lure. They sang to destroy. Their songs were traps, pulling sailors into their grasp, only to leave them shipwrecked, their hopes dashed upon jagged rocks. Their beautiful voices masked the death that waited for anyone who dared to listen too long. Odysseus, the cunning hero of the Odyssey, knew all too well the peril of the sirens. As his ship sailed closer to their island, the air became thick with their song. It was soft at first, just a whisper on the wind. But as they neared, the music grew stronger, more insistent. Odysseus, wise and clever, had been warned of this danger. He knew that no man, no matter how strong or determined, could resist the call of the sirens once their voices filled his mind. Desire, temptation, these are the forces the sirens wielded like weapons. And so, Odysseus came up with a plan. He commanded his men to fill their ears with beeswax, blocking out the sound of the deadly song. But Odysseus, always curious, wanted to hear the siren's song for himself, to experience the allure without falling prey to it. He had his men tie him tightly to the mast of the ship, ordering them not to release him, no matter how much he begged or pleaded. As the ship sailed past the sirens, their voices rose like waves crashing against the shore. They called out to Odysseus, their song weaving into his mind, stirring his deepest desires. They promised him knowledge, riches, and pleasures beyond his wildest dreams. They told him that he, above all others, deserved to hear their secrets, to experience their love. Odysseus struggled against the ropes, desperate to go to them. His heart raced, his body strained, and the more they sang, the more he longed to give in. But the ropes held firm, and his crew, deaf to the siren's call, rowed on, their eyes fixed ahead, unaware of the torment their captain was enduring. The sirens, seeing their spell was broken, let out a mournful cry, their voices fading into the distance as Odysseus and his men sailed away. Though Odysseus had survived, the memory of their song stayed with him, haunting him long after the danger had passed. He had resisted, but not without scars, emotional, not physical. He had tasted the temptation and knew how close he had come to losing himself to it. The sirens are more than just creatures of myth, they represent the dangers of giving in to our desires. Their song speaks to the part of us that longs for what we cannot have, that hungers for what will ultimately destroy us. They symbolize the power of temptation, the way it can creep into our hearts and minds, making us lose sight of what is real and what is illusion. In the myth, the sirens are often depicted as half women, half bird, perched on cliffs or rocks, waiting for their next victims. Their physical beauty is as striking as their voices, adding to the illusion of safety they create. But there is nothing safe about them. They are symbols of chaos, of the uncontrollable forces that lie within us all. Their beauty is a mask for the destruction they bring, a reminder that not everything that appears alluring is harmless. Throughout history, the sirens have been portrayed in art and literature as warnings against giving in to temptation. In ancient Greek pottery and sculpture, they are shown in their dual forms, part woman, part bird, their wings outstretched as they sing to passing ships. The tragedy of their victims, who are often depicted lying lifeless on the rocks, underscores the deadly nature of their call. Even in modern times, the idea of the siren has remained powerful. The word siren has come to represent anything that tempts us away from our better judgment, whether it be a person, a desire, or a path that seems too good to be true. The allure of the sirens reminds us that temptation can be beautiful, but it can also be deadly. What makes the sirens myth so haunting is how it taps into a fear that is universal. The fear of being led astray, of losing control to something we cannot resist. It is a fear that goes beyond the physical danger of the sea. It speaks to the emotional and psychological battles we all face. The sirens sing to the part of us that wants more, that is never satisfied, that craves the forbidden. Their song is sweet, but the sweetness is a lie, and the cost of giving in is always higher than we expect. Odysseus' encounter with the sirens is a powerful moment in the Odyssey because it shows that even the strongest, most heroic among us are vulnerable to temptation. It is not strength alone that saves Odysseus, but preparation, wisdom, and the understanding that he cannot face this danger alone. He knows his limits and takes steps to protect himself, not out of weakness, but out of the knowledge that some forces are too powerful to face head-on. The Sirens myth is not just about a battle between man and monster, it is about the internal struggle we all face. It is about desire and self-control, about the fine line between indulgence and destruction. The sirens may be ancient creatures of myth, but the dangers they represent are timeless. Their song, their beauty, their allure, all serve as a reminder that temptation is always near, and resisting it is never easy. In the end, the story of the sirens is one of survival, not just of the body, but of the soul. It is a reminder that sometimes, the greatest battles we face are not with external enemies, but with the desires and temptations that come from within. Between the crashing waves and swirling depths of the sea lies a terror that strikes fear into the hearts of even the bravest sailors. It is not the vastness of the ocean or the unpredictability of the weather that frightens them, but the narrow passage between two deadly creatures, Charybdis and Scylla. A choice that no one should ever have to make, yet every ship that passed through had to face it, to steer closer to one monster or the other, knowing that either path led to unimaginable danger. Charybdis, a force of nature disguised as a living beast, waited beneath the waves. 3 times a day, she would open her gaping maw, swallowing the sea and everything in it. Her power was terrifying, a whirlpool of destruction that could tear ships apart in seconds, dragging men and wood alike into her dark depths. To face her was to confront the very power of the ocean itself, a force no man could hope to control. Her hunger was endless, her pull inescapable. But avoiding Charybdis meant drawing closer to Scylla, perched high on the rocky cliffs. With 6 heads, each filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth, she waited to snatch sailors from their decks, one by one. She was swift, merciless, and there was no escaping her reach if you came too close. Her heads darted out like lightning, each one capable of devouring a man in a single bite. She was hunger given form, and while she might not consume the entire ship, she would feast on its crew without hesitation. Odysseus, weary from his long journey home, found himself trapped between these two monsters. His heart ached with the weight of the decision he knew he had to make. There was no clear path to safety, only the choice of which peril to face. The seas roared around him, his men looking to him with fear in their eyes, trusting him to guide them through this impossible trial. But Odysseus knew the truth. There was no victory here, only survival. Steering closer to Scylla, his heart pounded with dread. He had been warned of the horror that awaited him, the lives that would be lost, but he knew that facing Charybdis meant risking everything. So he chose the lesser evil, though it felt like a betrayal to those he loved, to the men who had followed him so far. As the ship drew near, Scylla struck. Her 6 heads shot down from the cliffs, faster than anyone could react. Screams filled the air as her jaws closed around the sailors, dragging them into the sky before their bodies vanished into her mouth. Odysseus could do nothing but watch, his heart breaking with every life taken. He had made his choice, but it did not make the loss any easier to bear. The ship sailed past, the survivors trembling with fear, the memory of their companions' screams burned into their minds. They had escaped Scylla, but the price was steep, and the shadows of what they had lost hung over them like a cloud. Charybdis, in her monstrous silence, was no less terrifying. Her presence loomed in the distance, the water swirling as she prepared to feed once more. Had Odysseus chosen differently, they would have been caught in her grasp, the ship torn apart piece by piece, dragged into the abyss. But survival came with its own scars, and the knowledge that he had led his men into the jaws of another terror weighed heavily on Odysseus' soul. The strait between Charybdis and Scylla was not just a test of skill or bravery, it was a test of endurance, of how much one could endure without breaking. The sea itself seemed to mock them, with its endless waves and the sounds of the monsters still echoing in their ears. It was a reminder of the dangers that lurked in every corner of the world, that even the bravest of men were not immune to fear or loss. For those who survived, the strait became a symbol of the fragility of life. Every sailor who passed through these waters carried with him the memory of those who did not make it. The sea was full of stories, of men who had faced the monsters and lost, of ships that had vanished into the maw of Charybdis, never to be seen again, or of those who had been torn apart by Scylla's jaws. These creatures, more than just physical dangers, represented the choices we all must make, the impossible decisions where there is no right answer, only the lesser of two evils. They were symbols of the constant tension between survival and sacrifice, between what we want and what we must do to survive. To sail between Scylla and Charybdis was to confront the reality that sometimes, no matter how carefully we plan, we cannot avoid loss. Odysseus' story of navigating these treacherous waters has lived on for centuries, not just because of the physical danger, but because of the emotional toll it took on him and his crew. It was a reminder that even heroes are not immune to the cruelty of the world, that sometimes bravery is simply enduring, even when the outcome is grim. The monsters themselves may have been terrifying, but the real horror lay in the choices that had to be made, the understanding that, no matter what, something would be lost. In Greek folklore, the perils of the sea were more than just natural dangers, they were reflections of the inner turmoil that all humans face. The sea was vast, unpredictable, and full of unknowns, much like life itself. Charybdis and Scylla were the embodiment of that uncertainty, the living embodiment of the risks we take every day, knowing that not all of us will make it through unscathed. They reminded the Greeks that the sea was not just a path to adventure, but a path to danger, where even the most skilled sailors could be lost to forces beyond their control. In the end, the monsters of the sea were a reflection of the human condition, of the choices we make, the losses we endure, and the strength it takes to keep going, even when the odds are against us. Charybdis and Scylla may have been terrifying, but they were also a reminder that, even in the face of unimaginable danger, there is always a way through, though the cost may be great. The wind howled, a sound so fierce and relentless it could chill the soul. In the distance, dark shapes flew through the sky, their wings beating with the fury of a storm. These were no ordinary birds, they were the harpies, winged spirits of vengeance, feared by gods and mortals alike. With the screech of the wind in their wake, they brought punishment, tormenting those who had angered the gods or strayed from the path of justice. Their arrival was never gentle, never merciful, but a violent gust that would sweep away peace, leaving chaos and suffering in its place. Born from the storms themselves, the harpies were creatures of the wind and sky. They embodied the raw, untamable power of nature, and their purpose was as fierce as their appearance. With the bodies of birds and the faces of women, they were both alluring and terrifying. Their talons could tear through flesh, and their cries could freeze even the bravest hearts. They were the swift deliverers of divine punishment, sent to snatch away those who had wronged the gods, dragging them into a living nightmare of torment. The tale of Phineus is a reminder of the true horror these creatures could bring. Phineus, once a king and prophet, had dared to challenge the gods by revealing too much of their will to mortals. For this, his punishment was severe and relentless. The harpies descended upon him, not to kill, but to strip him of every last shred of comfort. Every day, as he tried to eat, they would swoop down, snatching the food from his hands, leaving him on the brink of starvation. What little they left behind was spoiled, made inedible by their filth and cruelty. Imagine the agony of Phineus, surrounded by abundance yet unable to satisfy his hunger. The harpies circled him constantly, mocking his suffering, ensuring that he could never find relief. His cries for mercy went unheard, as the harpies, fueled by the gods' will, continued their merciless torment. The sound of their wings beating against the wind was the only answer he ever received, a constant reminder that there would be no escape, no end to his punishment. But Phineus' torment was not to last forever. The Argonauts, on their quest for the Golden Fleece, came upon the tortured king. Their leader, Jason, filled with both pity and resolve, swore to rid Phineus of his tormentors. With the help of the winged boreads, who could match the harpies in speed and strength, the Argonauts set a trap. As the harpies swooped in to steal Phineus' meal once again, the boreads chased after them, pursuing them through the sky. The chase was long and fierce, but the harpies, for all their power, could not escape the relentless pursuit of their equals. Finally, cornered and exhausted, the harpies were forced to flee, and the gods, satisfied that Phineus had suffered enough, allowed him peace. The harpies retreated, leaving Phineus free from their torment, though the memory of their cruelty would never truly leave him. His freedom was hard-earned, but it came at a price, a reminder of how swiftly divine punishment could descend and how helpless even a king could be in the face of such wrath. Over time, the image of the harpies began to evolve. No longer just creatures of vengeance, they became symbols of the storm, both its destructive power and its unpredictability. In some tales, they were seen as wind spirits, capable of bringing both harm and renewal. The storm could destroy, but it could also cleanse, sweeping away the old to make way for the new. In this way, the harpies took on a dual nature, embodying both the destructive and redemptive aspects of the gods' will. In art and literature, the harpies became a powerful symbol of the forces beyond human control. Their form, half woman, half bird, represented the chaotic blend of beauty and terror, seduction and savagery. They were both captivating and horrifying, a reminder that the gods' judgment could come from any direction, with no warning and no escape. Their presence in stories served as a warning to those who would dare defy the divine order, a reminder that punishment could come swiftly and mercilessly. As time passed, the harpies began to appear in other cultures as well, their image shifting and changing to fit new contexts. In Roman mythology, they were still seen as creatures of punishment, but they also began to take on a more sinister, almost demonic quality. In later depictions, they became less like spirits of the wind and more like harbingers of death, snatching souls away to the underworld. Their once dual nature was overshadowed by their role as bringers of doom, feared for their ability to steal life itself. In modern culture, the image of the harpy has continued to evolve. They appear in literature, art, and film, often portrayed as symbols of anger, vengeance, or unrelenting pursuit. Yet, despite their many depictions, one thing remains the same: the harpies are always feared, always seen as forces that cannot be reasoned with or tamed. They are the embodiment of the storm that rages inside every human heart, the anger that cannot be controlled, the desire for revenge that can consume everything in its path. Even today, the harpies remind us of the power of nature, of the consequences of defying forces beyond our understanding. They are a symbol of the storm, both literal and metaphorical, that can sweep through our lives, leaving destruction in its wake. And just like the winds they represent, they are always lurking on the edge of our awareness, waiting to strike when we least expect it. In the heart of ancient Greece, where myths and legends took shape, there lurked a beast so terrifying that its very name sent shivers down the spine. The Chimera, a creature born from the nightmares of the gods, was a grotesque fusion of the most fearsome animals. Its body combined the features of a lion, a goat, and a serpent, creating a beast with 3 heads and a blazing breath that could reduce forests to ashes. With the body of a lion and the head of a goat protruding from its back, the Chimera was already a horrifying sight. But it didn't stop there. From its tail, a serpent's head slithered and struck with deadly venom. Each head could unleash a different kind of terror: the lion's roar, the goat's bleat, and the serpent's hiss, all combined into a nightmarish cacophony that could drive the bravest hero to despair. It breathed fire, a scorching blaze that seemed to come from the very depths of the underworld, consuming everything in its path. The Chimera was not merely a beast, it was a living nightmare. It terrorized the land of Lycia, burning villages and consuming everything it could find. Its rampage was relentless, leaving scorched earth and broken lives in its wake. The people lived in constant fear, praying for a hero to save them from this monstrous scourge. Their cries reached the ears of Bellerophon, a hero known for his courage and strength. Bellerophon was no ordinary man. He was blessed by the gods, and his bravery was matched only by his skill. But facing the Chimera was a task that required more than just physical prowess; it demanded divine intervention. Bellerophon's fate was entwined with that of Pegasus, the winged horse he rode, a gift from the gods that would give him the edge he needed to confront the beast. As Bellerophon approached the Chimera, the beast's fiery breath scorched the air, and its 3 heads turned toward him with a hungry glint in their eyes. The lion's head roared with fury, the goat's bleat was a screech of defiance, and the serpent's hiss was a promise of venomous death. With each head seeking to strike him down, Bellerophon knew he had to act swiftly and decisively. Mounted on Pegasus, Bellerophon soared above the Chimera, using the high ground to his advantage. From the skies, he could see the beast's every move, its fiery breath scorching the earth below. With precision, he launched his attacks, aiming for the beast's heads. The battle was fierce and dramatic, a clash of hero against monster that seemed almost mythic in its intensity. Bellerophon's arrows struck true, each one piercing through the monstrous heads, but the Chimera was not easily defeated. The beast's fiery breath continued to rage, and its powerful limbs lashed out in desperation. Yet Bellerophon's determination never wavered. With the grace of Pegasus and the sharpness of his aim, he struck at the Chimera's heart, delivering a blow that would end its reign of terror. When the dust settled and the Chimera lay vanquished, a wave of relief swept over the land. The people emerged from their hiding places, eyes wide with awe and gratitude. Bellerophon had triumphed where others had failed, and his victory was celebrated as a moment of true heroism. The Chimera's defeat was not just a triumph of strength, but a testament to the courage that could stand against even the most terrifying odds. The legend of the Chimera didn't end with its death. It lived on in the stories and art of ancient Greece and beyond. The Chimera became a symbol of chaos and the monstrous side of nature, its form a reminder of the wild and uncontrollable forces that lay beyond human control. Artists and writers throughout history have drawn upon the image of the Chimera to represent the fears and challenges that humans face. In medieval art, the Chimera often appeared as a symbol of the devil or evil, embodying the darker aspects of the world. Its fire-breathing, multi-headed form became an enduring symbol of the dangers that lurk in the unknown. In literature and art, the Chimera's image continued to evolve. It was depicted in countless ways, from the monstrous to the majestic, reflecting the fears and fascinations of different eras. The creature's form inspired a variety of artistic expressions, capturing both the terror it inspired and the heroism of those who faced it. In modern times, the chimera has appeared in fantasy literature and popular culture, often symbolizing a blend of different fears or challenges. Its appearance in these contexts is a testament to the enduring power of myth and its ability to speak to the deepest parts of the human experience. The story of Bellerophon and the chimera resonates through the ages because it captures the essence of heroism in the face of overwhelming odds. It tells of a hero who faced a monstrous threat and emerged victorious, but also of the terror and chaos that such a beast could bring. The chimera's legacy is a powerful reminder of the eternal struggle between good and evil, and the courage it takes to confront the most terrifying of monsters. In the quiet darkness of ancient Nemea, a beast of nightmares roamed, its roar echoing through the hills. The Nemean lion, with its golden fur and eyes that glowed like molten lava, was no ordinary lion. Its hide was impervious to weapons, making it a creature of unassailable power and dread. To the people of Nemea, it was not just a monster but a symbol of the insurmountable. The Nemean lion's reign of terror began when it emerged from the depths of the earth, a beast so mighty that it seemed like a curse cast upon the land. Its fur, as thick as armor and as strong as steel, was beyond the reach of ordinary weapons. No spear could pierce its hide, no blade could cut through its golden coat. It roamed the land, attacking with a ferocity that left the people in a state of perpetual fear. The lion's mere presence was enough to bring nightmares to life, a relentless reminder of the untamed forces of nature. Heracles, the greatest of Greek heroes, was tasked with a seemingly impossible challenge, to slay the Nemean lion. It was the first of his 12 labors, a series of tasks meant to prove his strength and bravery. As Heracles prepared for this daunting mission, he knew he faced not just a beast but an embodiment of invulnerability and terror. The very idea of confronting the Nemean lion filled him with a sense of dread, but his courage was unwavering. When Heracles arrived at the lair of the Nemean lion, the beast awaited him with a primal roar that shook the earth. The lion charged with a speed and power that could have crushed any ordinary man. Heracles, armed with his spear and shield, quickly realized that traditional weapons were useless. Each strike against the lion's hide seemed to bounce back, leaving him feeling helpless and frustrated. But Heracles was not just any hero, he was blessed with strength and ingenuity. As the lion continued its assault, Heracles devised a new plan. He would use his wits as much as his might. He realized that if the lion's hide was impenetrable, he would have to find another way to defeat it. Using his immense strength, he grappled with the beast, engaging it in a desperate struggle. In the heat of battle, Heracles' grip tightened around the lion's neck. With every ounce of his power, he fought to strangle the beast, his muscles straining against the lion's immense strength. The struggle was intense, a battle of titans that seemed to stretch on forever. Heracles' determination and courage shone through as he wrestled the beast to the ground, his every movement a testament to his heroism. With a final, desperate heave, he managed to choke the life out of the Nemean lion, defeating it through sheer strength and willpower. The victory came at a great cost. Heracles emerged from the battle bruised and exhausted, but triumphant. The Nemean lion's hide, once a symbol of invincibility, was now a trophy of Heracles' strength. Heracles tipped the lion's pelt as a cloak, a sign of his conquest. He wore it proudly, its golden fur a constant reminder of his victory and the trials he had overcome. The symbolism of Heracles' triumph over the Nemean lion is profound. It represents the victory of human courage and determination over seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The lion's invulnerability mirrored the greatest challenges one might face, and Heracles' ability to overcome it symbolized the power of perseverance and bravery. The lion's defeat was not just a personal victory for Heracles, but a universal testament to the idea that even the most daunting challenges can be conquered through strength and resolve. Artistic depictions of the Nemean lion have captured the essence of this mythological battle throughout history. In ancient Greek art, the lion is often portrayed as a fearsome and powerful creature, its golden fur rendered in striking detail. Sculptures and pottery often depict Heracles in the midst of his struggle with the lion, capturing the raw intensity of the battle. These images serve as powerful symbols of heroism and strength, celebrating Heracles' triumph and the enduring legacy of his labors. In modern contexts, the Nemean lion continues to inspire awe and fascination. Its image appears in various forms of art and popular culture, symbolizing the eternal struggle against the odds. The lion's invulnerability and the hero's victory over it resonate with contemporary audiences, reminding them of the timeless power of courage and perseverance. The tale of the Nemean lion is more than just a story of a hero and a beast. It is a reflection of the human spirit's ability to face and overcome the most daunting challenges. The lion's defeat is a powerful reminder that even the most fearsome obstacles can be conquered through bravery, strength, and determination. The legend endures because it speaks to the core of our collective experience, capturing the essence of heroism and the triumph of the human spirit. In the heavens of ancient Greece, where myths intertwine with the stars, there soared a creature of breathtaking beauty and power, Pegasus, the divine winged horse. His origins are as majestic as the creature himself. Born from the blood of the Gorgon Medusa, after she was slain by the hero Perseus, Pegasus emerged from the earth as a symbol of both awe and wonder. His birth was nothing short of miraculous, a living testament to the extraordinary mingling of heroism and myth. Pegasus' story is inseparable from that of Bellerophon, a hero destined for great deeds. The two shared an extraordinary bond, a connection that began when Bellerophon, seeking to tame this celestial steed, was guided by the goddess Athena. With a golden bridle gifted by the goddess, Bellerophon was able to mount Pegasus, forging a partnership that would become legendary. Together, they soared through the skies, a vision of grace and strength, their bond a symbol of heroic aspiration and divine favor. Pegasus' role in mythology is as grand as his wingspan. He was not merely a beast of beauty but a powerful ally in some of the most dramatic battles and adventures. One of the most famous tales of Pegasus is his aid to Bellerophon in the defeat of the monstrous Chimera. The Chimera, a beast with the body of a lion, a serpent's tail, and a goat's head on its back, terrorized the land with its fire-breathing fury. Mounted on Pegasus, Bellerophon soared above the creature, a valiant figure against the dark sky. With precision and courage, Bellerophon and Pegasus overcame the Chimera, demonstrating how their unity and strength could vanquish even the most fearsome foes. Yet, Pegasus' role wasn't confined to the battlefield. His very presence was imbued with divine significance. After his legendary feats with Bellerophon, Pegasus ascended to the heavens, where he became a constellation, eternally immortalized in the night sky. His story didn't end with his ascension. Instead, it evolved into a symbol of freedom and divine inspiration. Pegasus' flight across the heavens became a powerful metaphor for the boundless possibilities of the human spirit and the heights one could achieve with courage and perseverance. To many, Pegasus represents a profound sense of freedom. His ability to fly across the skies, unhindered by earthly constraints, embodies the yearning for liberation and the pursuit of one's dreams. For the ancient Greeks, and for many who followed, Pegasus was not just a horse, but a vision of what could be achieved with divine aid and personal bravery. His wings, vast and white, carried with them the promise of rising above the ordinary, of breaking free from the confines of the mundane. In art and literature, Pegasus has often been depicted as a symbol of inspiration. Poets and writers have drawn upon his myth to evoke the transcendent nature of creativity and the divine spark of genius. The image of Pegasus, galloping through the skies with his wings spread wide, serves as a reminder that creativity and inspiration can lift us above our limitations and take us to places we never thought possible. Throughout the centuries, Pegasus' story has continued to captivate the human imagination. His image has graced countless works of art, from ancient pottery to modern literature, always representing the same themes of freedom and divine inspiration. Each depiction of Pegasus is a testament to the enduring power of myth, a reflection of humanity's timeless aspirations and the belief that we, too, can rise above our struggles and reach for the stars. Pegasus, with his divine grace and celestial beauty, stands as a symbol of hope and inspiration. His story, intertwined with that of Bellerophon and his epic battles, is a powerful reminder of the heights we can achieve through courage, strength, and the support of the divine. His eternal presence in the night sky continues to inspire and uplift, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we can find the strength to soar. In the world of Greek mythology, where every tale brims with wonder and danger, few creatures capture the imagination quite like the Cyclopes. These one-eyed giants, with their immense size and raw power, loom large in ancient lore. Their story, a blend of fearsome might and surprising craftsmanship, unfolds with a vividness that stirs the heart and ignites the imagination. Cyclopes are first introduced in myths as primordial beings, born from the chaos of creation. They are often depicted as monstrous and brutish, with a single, glaring eye in the middle of their foreheads. This solitary eye, while a source of their fearsome appearance, also symbolizes their unique perspective and formidable power. In their mythological origins, the Cyclopes are not merely creatures of terror, but also possessors of great skill and knowledge. One of the most gripping stories involving the Cyclopes is the encounter between Odysseus and Polyphemus, the most famous of these giants. The tale unfolds with Odysseus and his men, stranded on an island after a tumultuous journey, discovering a cave that seems like a perfect place to rest. However, this cave belongs to Polyphemus, a cyclops whose size and strength are matched only by his savagery. As night falls, Polyphemus returns to his cave, sealing the entrance with a massive stone and trapping Odysseus and his crew inside. The giant's single eye gleams with malice as he begins to devour the men one by one, a horrifying testament to his monstrous nature. The air inside the cave is thick with fear, and the dark, empty space seems to close in around the trapped heroes. Desperation drives Odysseus to devise a cunning plan. Using his wits rather than brute force, he and his men craft a plan to escape. They offer Polyphemus wine, causing the giant to fall into a deep, drunken sleep. While Polyphemus slumbers, Odysseus sharpens a stake, which he then plunges into the Cyclops' eye, blinding him. As Polyphemus roars in agony, the cave fills with a chilling mix of fury and confusion. The next day, as Polyphemus stumbles around blindly, Odysseus and his men slip out from the cave by hiding beneath the sheep that the Cyclops lets out to graze. This clever escape, marked by a desperate whisper and a tense silence, is a testament to Odysseus' resourcefulness and the terrifying power of the Cyclopes. Yet, beyond their monstrous visage and terrifying acts, the Cyclopes hold a more nuanced role in Greek mythology. They are also renowned as master blacksmiths and creators. In one of the most striking myths, the Cyclopes are depicted as the divine smiths who forge the thunderbolts of Zeus, the king of the gods. This imagery of the Cyclopes as craftsmen highlights their dual nature, fearsome yet capable of creating powerful and essential tools for the gods. In their workshops, the Cyclopes use their immense strength and skill to shape raw materials into powerful weapons and artifacts. The thunderbolts they create are not just symbols of divine wrath, but also of order and justice, wielded by Zeus to maintain balance among gods and mortals alike. The Cyclopes' craftsmanship is a reminder of the complex nature of their existence. While they are indeed formidable and fearsome, they are also pivotal in the grand tapestry of divine operations. The story of the Cyclopes is more than a tale of brute strength and terrifying encounters. It is a narrative that speaks to the duality of existence, the combination of fear and respect, of terror and reverence. Their story, from the chilling encounter with Polyphemus to their role as celestial craftsmen, reflects the complexity of mythological beings. They embody the primal power of nature and the intricate artistry of creation, reminding us that even the most fearsome creatures have a place in the grand narrative of the gods. In the lush, ancient forests and rolling hills of Greek mythology, one of the most striking and enigmatic creatures roams, the centaur. These beings, with the upper bodies of powerful men and the lower bodies of mighty horses, embody a unique blend of nature's wildness and human intellect. Their story is a fascinating dance between civilization and savagery, wisdom and untamed instinct. Centaurs are both fearsome and revered, their dual nature reflecting the complexities of their existence. On one hand, they are depicted as untamed and wild, living on the fringes of the human world. With their horse-like lower halves, they gallop through the forests, embodying the raw energy and primal freedom of nature. Their wild behavior often leads to conflict with humans, and their presence is sometimes seen as a challenge to order and civilization. Yet, centaurs also possess profound wisdom and a deep connection to the natural world. This duality is vividly illustrated in the tales of two famous centaurs, Chiron and Nessus. Chiron, the wise centaur, stands in sharp contrast to the stereotypical image of his kind. Unlike most centaurs, who are often depicted as unruly and brutish, Chiron is known for his kindness, wisdom, and knowledge. As a teacher and healer, he stands apart, embodying the noble aspects of centaur nature. His gentle demeanor and vast knowledge make him a beloved figure in mythology. He trains heroes like Achilles and Asclepius, imparting wisdom and skills that shape their destinies. His life, filled with teaching and healing, reveals the potential for harmony between the wild and the wise. In stark contrast, Nessus represents the darker side of the centaur's nature. Nessus is notorious for his wild, aggressive behavior and his role in tragic events. In one harrowing tale, Nessus attempts to abduct Deianira, the wife of Heracles. As a result, he is killed by Heracles, but not before cursing Deianira. Nessus's blood, mingled with his vengeful curse, later plays a crucial role in Heracles' death, highlighting how the wildness of the centaur can intertwine with the tragic fabric of human fate. Nessus embodies the chaotic and destructive potential that lies within the untamed aspects of the centaur's nature. The centaurs, as a group, symbolize the tension between the civilized and the savage, the rational and the instinctual. Their dual nature reflects the broader struggles of human existence, where the untamed forces of nature clash with the ordered world of human society. They stand at the edge of civilization, embodying both the fear and fascination that come with the unknown and the wild. In art and literature, centaurs are often depicted in scenes that highlight their complex nature. In ancient sculptures and pottery, they are shown in various states of action, from fierce battles to serene moments of teaching and healing. This artistic representation captures their role as both protectors and adversaries, embodying the intricate balance between the natural world and human civilization. The centaur's story is more than just a mythological tale, it is a reflection of the human condition. Their presence in Greek mythology serves as a powerful metaphor for the struggles between our primal instincts and the pursuit of wisdom and order. Through the stories of Chiron and Nessus, we see the full spectrum of what it means to be a centaur, a being caught between two worlds, struggling to find harmony within oneself and with others. In the heart of the ancient Greek wilderness, where sunlight barely filters through dense trees and the scent of earth fills the air, there lurk creatures both enchanting and unpredictable, the satyrs. These beings, with their human torsos and goat-like lower halves, embody a world where playfulness intertwines with danger and revelry dances on the edge of chaos. Satyrs are renowned for their mischievous nature, forever caught between the wild exuberance of nature and the boundaries of civilized order. Their laughter is infectious, their pranks are legendary, and their presence in the forest is a mix of delight and apprehension. Imagine stumbling upon a group of satyrs frolicking in a sun-dappled glade, their hooves tapping rhythmically to the music of their panpipes, and their laughter echoing through the trees. Their playful antics can be disarming, yet they also carry an undercurrent of unpredictability that can turn joy into mayhem in an instant. The satyrs are most famously associated with Dionysus, the god of wine, revelry, and the theater. Dionysus is the patron of the wild, the ecstatic, and the uninhibited, and his companions, the satyrs, perfectly reflect his chaotic and celebratory nature. In the myths, these forest spirits are often seen as followers of Dionysus, joining him in wild feasts and ecstatic dances that blur the lines between the divine and the earthly. Their revelry is not just about celebration, it's about embracing the raw, untamed energy of life itself, a force that Dionysus embodies with both abandon and grace. In these stories, the satyrs are depicted as both joyful and dangerous. Their playful pranks can range from harmless fun to disruptive mischief. They are known for leading travelers astray, stealing from unwary passers-by, or causing havoc in the vineyards and forests. Yet, their antics are rarely malicious. Instead, they are a reflection of nature's own wild spirit and the unpredictability of life's pleasures. Their actions remind us of the dual nature of their existence, where joy and danger are intertwined, and where freedom comes with its own set of consequences. The satyr's representation in art and theater further emphasizes their complex nature. In ancient Greek pottery, satyrs are often shown in mid-dance, caught in the act of making merry, their bodies and expressions radiating exuberance. They are depicted with exaggerated features, horns, shaggy legs, and playful grins that highlight their connection to the untamed aspects of nature. In theater, especially in the comedies of the ancient Greeks, satyrs are portrayed with a blend of humor and wildness, adding a touch of the extraordinary to the everyday world of humans. Their presence on stage often serves as a reminder of the thin veil between the rational world and the wild forces that lie beyond. These artistic portrayals capture the satyr's essence, beings who live on the edge of civilization, embodying both the joys and dangers of the natural world. They are a testament to the belief that the wild, chaotic aspects of life are not just to be feared or tamed, but to be embraced and celebrated. The satyr's laughter, their music, and their mischievous antics are a call to remember the vibrant, untamed parts of ourselves and the world around us. In every tale and depiction, the satyrs remind us of the delicate balance between pleasure and peril, the sacred and the profane. Their presence in Greek mythology is a vivid illustration of how the playful and the dangerous are forever intertwined, each amplifying the other in a dance as old as time itself. In the heart of ancient legends, there soars a creature whose story blends the mystical with the profound, the phoenix. This magnificent bird, wrapped in flames and reborn from its own ashes, embodies the ultimate cycle of life, death, and renewal. The phoenix's tale is one of dramatic beauty. It begins with the bird's spectacular demise, consumed by flames so fierce they turn everything into ash. But instead of vanishing into oblivion, the phoenix is reborn from the very ashes of its former self. It rises anew, fresh and vibrant, as if proving that from the end comes a new beginning. This cycle of death and rebirth happens every few hundred years, marking the phoenix's existence with both an end and an everlasting return. In Greek mythology, the phoenix's story is deeply symbolic. It represents the concept of immortality, not in the sense of never dying, but in the capacity to renew and start afresh. Each death is not an end but a transformation, a chance to begin anew with renewed strength and vitality. This powerful message resonates deeply with the human experience of overcoming challenges and rising above the ashes of past difficulties. The phoenix also appears in other cultures, each adding its own twist to the legend. In ancient Egypt, the phoenix was closely associated with the sun god Ra. Here, it symbolized the sun's cycle of setting and rising, capturing the essence of daily rebirth. The bird was believed to live for 500 to 1,000 years before setting itself on fire and emerging again, embodying the eternal cycle of the sun. In Chinese mythology, the phoenix is known as Feng Huang. Unlike its Western counterpart, this phoenix is a symbol of harmony and virtue, often depicted with the dragon as a representation of the balance between yin and yang. Its beautiful plumage and melodic song make it a symbol of peace and prosperity, embodying the harmonious balance of the universe. Across cultures, the phoenix serves as a metaphor for renewal. It touches on the universal truth that from destruction comes the opportunity for new creation. Whether it's the rising sun, the balance of cosmic forces, or the triumph over personal struggles, the phoenix's story encourages us to see beyond the end, to find hope in despair, and to believe in the potential for transformation. In art, literature, and even modern pop culture, the phoenix continues to capture the imagination. From ancient Greek coins to contemporary films, its image represents not just a mythical creature but a powerful symbol of resilience. Its fiery feathers and radiant glow remind us of the strength in overcoming challenges and the beauty in starting over. The phoenix's story is not just a legend but a profound message wrapped in the guise of a mythical bird. Its journey through flames, its rebirth, and its eternal cycle of life and death are timeless reminders that even when everything seems lost, there is always a chance for renewal and hope. In the dark corridors of ancient Greek mythology, where shadows whisper secrets of vengeance and justice, the Erinyes, often known as the Furies, strike fear into the hearts of those who dare defy the natural order of retribution. These fierce spirits, driven by an insatiable hunger for punishment, are the haunting embodiment of justice turned grim and relentless. The Erinyes are not just mythological figures, they are the very essence of divine retribution. Born from the blood of Uranus, cast aside by his son Cronus, they represent the eternal avengers of heinous crimes. Their primary role is to punish those who commit crimes against their own kin. This includes the most unforgivable acts, such as murder within the family. Their presence is a chilling reminder that no matter how one tries to escape the consequences of their actions, the Erinyes will find them and ensure that justice is served. Imagine a scene where the air is thick with the weight of looming dread. In ancient times, the Erinyes were said to appear with snakes for hair, bloodshot eyes, and faces twisted into expressions of unending rage. Their presence alone could cause the guilty to shiver in terror, knowing that their day of reckoning was drawing near. When someone committed a grave sin, particularly against their family, the Erinyes would pursue them with relentless fury, refusing to rest until they had exacted the price of justice. The Erinyes are not mere myths, but are deeply intertwined with the concept of justice in Greek culture. They are the shadowy enforcers of the moral order, making sure that justice prevails where human laws and institutions fall short. Their pursuit is not just about punishing wrongdoers, but about restoring balance to the world, ensuring that evil deeds are not left unpunished. Their role emphasizes a fundamental belief in cosmic justice, that wrongs must be righted and that every crime against kin will be met with fitting retribution. The artistic depictions of the Erinyes further amplify their terrifying nature. In classical art, they are often portrayed with horrific, ghastly features, long, wild hair writhing with serpents, eyes blazing with unquenchable fury, and a countenance that strikes terror into the hearts of the unrepentant. Their images are designed to evoke fear and serve as a stark warning to those who might contemplate evil deeds. These portrayals capture the raw intensity of their rage and the unyielding nature of their pursuit of justice. In literature and drama, the Erinyes emerge as powerful symbols of the consequences of moral failings. They are not simply characters but forces of nature, embodying the inescapable truth that actions have consequences. Their relentless pursuit of wrongdoers makes them a central figure in tales of vengeance and justice, illustrating the ancient Greek belief that the divine forces of the cosmos are ever watchful and ever ready to punish transgressions. The Erinyes' legacy endures beyond ancient times, serving as a potent reminder in modern culture of the consequences of wrongdoing and the inescapable nature of justice. Their story is a chilling yet essential part of the mythological tapestry, illustrating the profound belief that no matter how deeply one tries to bury their sins, they will eventually surface, and the scales of justice will balance. As the Erinyes continue to haunt the realms of myth and imagination, they remind us of the unyielding truth that justice, no matter how fearsome or relentless, will always find a way to be served. Their story is a testament to the ancient belief that in the grand scheme of things, no wrong goes unnoticed and no evil deed escapes retribution. In the ancient Greek myths, where gods and titans clashed in epic battles, there emerged beings so fearsome that their mere presence could change the tide of war. The Centaurs, the hundred-handed giants, were among these formidable entities, their names evoking images of sheer power and primordial chaos. Picture the scene, a time of upheaval, where the very fabric of the universe seems to be in turmoil. From the depths of this cosmic chaos, the Centaurs were born, a trio of giants with an astounding 100 hands and 50 heads each. They were not merely creatures of flesh and bone but symbols of raw, untamed force. Their origins are shrouded in a mix of fear and awe, reflecting the ancient Greeks' understanding of the primal elements that shaped their world. During the Titanomachy, the great war between the Olympian gods and the Titans, the Centaurs played a pivotal role. The Titans, led by Cronus, had long ruled over the cosmos with an iron grip. But the Centaurs, though initially imprisoned by Cronus, were released by Zeus and his allies. Their release was a game-changer, tipping the balance in favor of the Olympian gods. With their formidable strength and their incredible number of hands, the Centaurs hurled massive boulders with such force that they could shatter the mountains and shake the heavens. Their presence on the battlefield was like a storm unleashed, a cataclysm of power that made the gods' victory seem inevitable. The Centaurs symbolize more than just brute strength, they embody the chaotic forces that existed before order was imposed on the universe. Their 100 hands represent the endless, uncontrollable aspects of nature and existence that defy human understanding. In the mythology, they stand as a reminder of the primal chaos that existed before the gods brought structure and harmony to the cosmos. Their power is a reflection of the chaotic and destructive forces that, while terrifying, are also fundamental to the natural world. While the Titanomachy is where the Centimanes are most famously known, their stories do not end there. In lesser-known tales, the Centimanes appear as guardians of the imprisoned Titans. Even in their seclusion, they are depicted as powerful, albeit somewhat tragic figures. Their immense strength is counterbalanced by their isolation, a poignant reminder of the cost of their involvement in the great cosmic struggles. The image of the Centimanes, with their multitude of hands and heads, serves as a dramatic symbol of the uncontrollable forces of nature. Their story reflects the ancient Greek understanding of the universe as a place where primal chaos and order are eternally intertwined. Their presence in myths underscores the fear and reverence that these ancient peoples held for the forces beyond human control, forces that, while capable of immense destruction, also play a crucial role in shaping the world. In the modern imagination, the Centimanes continue to be powerful symbols of raw, untamed energy and the ancient belief in cosmic struggle. Their story is a vivid reminder of the forces that lie just beyond the edge of human understanding and the ever-present possibility of chaos in the universe. Their myth is a testament to the ancient Greeks' profound awareness of the delicate balance between order and chaos and the powerful, often terrifying forces that underpin existence. In the dark corners of ancient mythology, where fear and caution blend with the supernatural, there lurks a figure as terrifying as she is tragic, the Lamia. Her story is one of transformation and horror, rooted deeply in the Greek imagination and casting a long shadow across later folklore. Once a beautiful queen, Lamia's life took a nightmarish turn due to the wrath of the gods. The tale begins with Lamia, a woman of unparalleled beauty and grace. She caught the eye of Zeus, and their union, though passionate, was doomed. In a fit of jealousy, Zeus's wife, Hera, transformed Lamia into a monstrous demoness. This cruel twist of fate saw Lamia morph from a stunning queen into a ghastly figure, with serpentine features and an insatiable hunger. Her eyes, once the focus of admiration, became fearsome orbs of dread. The transformation was not just physical but emotional, turning Lamia into a creature driven by a profound grief and rage. Lamia's new form came with a horrifying trait, an unrelenting hunger for children. Her story became a chilling cautionary tale. As she roamed the night, seeking to quench her eternal hunger, she preyed on innocent children. The fear she instilled was palpable, and parents would use her story to scare their children into obedience. In this way, Lamia's legend was more than just a horror story, it was a dark moral lesson about the dangers of unchecked desires and the consequences of divine wrath. The transformation of Lamia and her monstrous appetite symbolize more than just a cautionary tale. They reflect the ancient Greek belief in the harsh punishments that await those who fall victim to their own desires or anger the gods. Lamia's tale serves as a stark reminder of the cost of indulgence and the perils of divine retribution. Her tragic fall from grace and subsequent existence as a child-devouring demoness represent the ultimate price of succumbing to uncontrollable desires and the destructive nature of unchecked wrath. In literature and folklore, Lamia's figure has evolved, but the core of her myth remains powerful. She appears in various forms across different cultures, often retaining her role as a fearsome creature associated with child sacrifice and dark magic. In some tales, Lamia is depicted as a seductive figure, using her allure to ensnare and harm. These variations highlight her role as a symbol of danger and deception, blending her tragic origins with new, more sinister attributes. Lamia's story has also found its way into modern literature and popular culture. She appears in novels, poems, and even modern horror films, often symbolizing the fears and anxieties of contemporary society. Her transformation from a tragic figure to a monstrous entity speaks to the enduring power of her myth and its ability to evoke fear and empathy. Each retelling, while varying in detail, retains the essence of Lamia's tragic fall and monstrous nature, ensuring her place in the pantheon of mythological nightmares. The legend of Lamia endures because it taps into a primal fear, the fear of losing control and the horror of becoming something unrecognizable. Her story, rooted in ancient myth, continues to resonate because it embodies the timeless struggle between human desires and the consequences of their unchecked power. The tragic fall of Lamia, her transformation into a demoness, and her role as a harbinger of dread remind us of the dark side of human nature and the eternal fear of the unknown that lurks just beyond the veil of our understanding. The stories of Greek legendary creatures have left an indelible mark on our imagination, echoing through the corridors of modern culture with a haunting resonance. From the menacing roar of the chimera to the bewitching allure of the sirens, these ancient myths have transcended time, breathing life into countless facets of contemporary storytelling. Their legacy is a testament to how the fears and fascinations of ancient Greece continue to captivate us today. Greek legendary creatures are more than just relics of a bygone era, they are woven into the fabric of our modern world. The Minotaur's labyrinthine maze, the Cyclops' single, unblinking eye, and the majestic Pegasus soar across the pages of books, the frames of films, and the screens of video games. These creatures have become archetypes, their stories reimagined to reflect our current fears, desires, and dreams. The chimera, with its terrifying blend of lion, goat, and serpent, often symbolizes the monstrous amalgamation of our inner conflicts, while Pegasus, the divine winged horse, represents our longing for freedom and transcendence. In literature, the influence of Greek creatures is profound. Classic works, from Dante's Inferno to J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, draw on these ancient symbols to evoke timeless themes of heroism, temptation, and the supernatural. The sirens' enchanting voices echo in modern tales of seduction and peril, while the Hydra's many heads reappear in stories of complex challenges and multifaceted threats. These creatures are not just footnotes in our cultural history, they are living, breathing entities that continue to inspire and terrify. Comparing Greek legendary creatures to those in other mythologies reveals intriguing parallels and contrasts. In Norse mythology, for example, the Midgard serpent shares the Hydra's serpentine dread, coiling around the world in a symbol of ultimate chaos. Similarly, in Egyptian lore, the fearsome Ammit, part crocodile, lion, and hippopotamus, embodies a blend of monstrous traits akin to the chimera. These comparisons highlight a universal human fascination with creatures that straddle the line between the familiar and the monstrous, reflecting our collective anxieties and moral lessons. The symbolism of Greek legendary creatures extends far beyond their ancient origins. These beings often represent our deepest fears and highest aspirations. The Minotaur, confined within the labyrinth, speaks to our struggles with inner demons and the quest for self-understanding. The Harpies, fierce and relentless, personify the uncontrollable forces of vengeance and punishment. In modern storytelling, these symbols are repurposed to explore contemporary issues such as the nature of evil, the complexity of heroism, and the quest for redemption. The enduring relevance of Greek legendary creatures in modern media underscores their powerful impact. In movies, from fantasy epics to animated adventures, these creatures have been reimagined to captivate new audiences. Video games bring to life the terror of facing a Gorgon or the thrill of riding Pegasus through enchanted skies. Each adaptation breathes new life into these ancient myths, showing how they continue to resonate with our collective psyche. These legendary creatures have also influenced visual arts and fashion. From striking tattoos of mythical beasts to elaborate costume designs, the images of Greek creatures persist in contemporary aesthetics. Their forms and stories continue to inspire artists and creators, demonstrating how these ancient myths have become a part of our cultural language. In every adaptation and retelling, the essence of Greek legendary creatures remains intact. Their stories are timeless, reflecting our eternal fascination with the unknown and the supernatural. Whether as symbols of our darkest fears or as embodiments of our loftiest dreams, these mythical beings continue to shape our imagination and our storytelling. The legacy of Greek legendary creatures is a reminder of the power of myth to transcend time and space, leaving an enduring mark on the human experience.